Welcome back everyone, Oz here, and today I've got some r/OhNoConsequences. As per usual, I'll be reading you the post, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This is a cross post from Best Of, actually, by Direct Caterpillar 77 who collected this post. The original OP is Hell Crazen Sky, posted to True Off My Chest May 18th, 2024. My childhood bully has become my coworker and she's bullying me again. When I, 18 female, was in 5th grade, age 10 to 11 for any non-Americans, there were these new twins who moved from the other side of the country to join my class. For some reason, these two kids did everything they could to make my life miserable. I think it's because I was socially unaware and a bit odd as a child, but I'm not sure. The boy twin was this very big kid who would regularly beat me up, and the girl twin would humiliate and spread rumors about me. Of course, the teachers never did anything about it. Luckily, these two went to different middle and high schools, so I wasn't bullied and I had a pleasant time in school after that. Most kids were not happy about going to middle school, but I was excited for them to stop torturing me. However, last month, I got a job at a new grocery store in my neighborhood. However, last week, the girl who bullied me got a job at the same grocery store. At first I thought, it's been 7 years, she's probably changed. But just now, a few coworkers asked me, "Did you really have sex with the manager so you could get hired here?" I shouted at them, "No!" and asked them where they heard that. And they said, "The new girl told us." I don't want to be put through this again. I am genuinely considering switching jobs to get away from her. I feel so lost and helpless. Relevant comments. Throwaway 070879. HR is your friend in these situations. She's making it a hostile work environment. Get a notepad and write down every time, with the date and time, and what the incident was. Keep a record of it. If you work at a small store with no HR, then go to management, but skip management. If you have an HR, go to HR first. I am almost positive your manager doesn't want the reputation of being a sleaze and making 18-year-olds sleep with him to get hired. If he's a decent person at least. OP responds, "The store doesn't have an HR, but I'll talk to my manager when I see him." Update. I stood up to my childhood bully as an adult, May 20th, 2024. The last few days have been pretty chaotic. First of all, I found out the new girl at my workplace, who was my childhood bully, was spreading another rumor, claiming that my boobs were fake. I took the advice of most people in the comments of the post and sent an email to my manager, telling him about how she made up a rumor claiming that I slept with him to get hired. He responded, saying that this is a very serious issue and that he wants me to come into work tomorrow to get my side of the story, because my bully had a shift then. The manager came in, looking absolutely furious. My manager spoke with her, me, and a few of my coworkers to see what was going on. After my manager spoke with my bully, I saw her leaving. She came up to me, said, "Fuck you, you tattletale s***," and left. I asked my manager what happened with her at the end of my shift. He said, "I spoke with her about the bullshit she was spewing. She tried acting innocent, but everyone I asked said that she was the one who made that shit up. She's fired. We don't have to worry about her anymore." I was kind of hoping that she would throw a temper tantrum, but that didn't happen. I finally stood up to her, thanks to the advice and words of the support from Reddit. I'm pretty sure my past self, the little girl who had her backpack stuffed in a shit-filled toilet on her 11th birthday, would be so proud of me. Relevant comments. Little Yesterday commented, "Some people never really move past high school." OP responds, "Even worse, in her case, she bullied me when we were in 5th grade." Gotta love it when high school, or in this case, elementary school bullies actually finally understand that, hey, just because you can get away with this in the school system doesn't mean that shit's gonna fly once you're no longer protected by the school admin. Unfortunately, once money gets involved and the bottom line can actually be affected, those kind of childish rumors don't really go far because they get shut down real fucking quick. My guess would be, with them being 18, she probably walked into that job thinking that the manager was kind of like a teacher role. So spreading a rumor that she slept with the teacher isn't gonna really turn back and hurt her. At worst, maybe a trip to the principal's office, but no long-term lasting harm. To her, at least. But in this case, difference being is the manager has the ability to fire her and, that hat of discipline came down like a fucking rock. What a great way for her to harshly learn that her words have consequences outside of the school system, because chances are, She never stopped being a fucking bully after elementary school. She probably kept it going for years and years and years, and now guess what? Her first job? Fired. Enjoy that reference, because anyone who calls for that reference is gonna hear, yeah, she spread a rumor that I slept with one of my employees. Like, the thing is that because she's 18 and has no work experience, I really do 100% think that she just thought that she could get away with any kind of rumor she spread. Cross post from Best Of, posted by a throwaway account to r/relationship advice. I, 25, female, went no contact with my family, male 54, female 50, and male 20, when I was 18. Now they're reaching out. What should I do? For whatever reason, my parents didn't want me. Once they had my brother, who we'll call Adam, I was pretty much ignored. They didn't abuse me, but I was pretty neglected. Everything was about Adam and how smart he was, or how athletic he was, or how he was just the best thing since sliced bread. Then there's me. A petty average kid who got decent grades, didn't play sports, wasn't super popular, and liked to read books. I can't tell you how many times I heard, "Why can't you be more like Adam?" What made me cut off my family was when they didn't attend my high school graduation. Adam had gotten hurt that morning, a sprained ankle, I was eventually told, and our parents rushed him to the ER because he swore up and down he broke his leg. I only got one text from my mom telling me they would make it up to me with a dinner to some family restaurant I mildly enjoyed. I was done after that. I had been used to the neglect or forgotten about, but I thought they would at least attend my graduation. I moved out that summer to go live with my cousin, female 30, and her wife in Arizona. Then I blocked them, and they haven't been in my life since. My family did try to get into contact with me after I left, but it was mostly just telling me I was a bad daughter and overly sensitive and didn't care about Adam. Years later, I still don't have any contact with them. I'm now married to my husband John, male 26, who loves me and treats me like I matter. We also have a daughter, who's 2, that I love more than the world itself. I have a close-knit group of friends and a job that makes decent money that I enjoy. I'm not saying my life is perfect or a dream or anything, but it's definitely leagues better than my childhood. Which brings me to last week, when my cousin called to tell me they had a message from my parents and my brother. This isn't anything new, but the message itself was. Instead of the usual blame game, my cousin told me that they wanted to apologize for everything, with Father's Day coming up. They were hoping I would come down to visit with my family and we could have a discussion. I know most people would scream, "Don't, it's a trap, they want something from you." But I'm not sure. For one thing, none of them have ever reached out to apologize for anything towards me, but I still have connections to my extended family, so I have info about my parents and Adam from them. None of them are sick or dying and need an organ, they're not in debt and need help with finances, and my parents aren't hoping to retire and want to be supported. Adam doesn't need help with student loans, he's a scholarship kid, so it could be genuine. But at the same time, I don't know if I care enough to have a discussion. My life has been great without them, so why do I need them now? I wanted them as a kid, but not anymore. However, John says this could be a genuine olive branch since they never apologize. He might be right. Even if I don't agree to have contact, I might finally get some closure or at least some answers as to why they didn't want me or why Adam was so much better than me. Should I hear them out or just tell my cousin to tell them to go step on Legos? I'll take any advice at this point. Comments. Trash cat attacks. From someone who is also no contact with immediate family members, I suggest you weigh the cost/benefit. What will it cost you? Emotionally, financially, physically, and is it worth the risk? Walk through possible outcomes, best case and worst case scenario. For me, if they wanted to apologize and talk, I wouldn't be willing to take the time and money to fly to them and to do it on their terms. They could have sent a letter, right? The answer is yes. Due to the gaslighting and psychological manipulation my family has put me through, I'd want it all in writing. I'd hear them out, but want to see it before I gave it a chance. OP responds, they don't actually have my address, so they couldn't send a letter directly to me, but they could send it to my cousin and she could always give it to me. User SquareHalf4672 comments, I would not contact them. I highly doubt they're remorseful. It's likely that they want something. You have your family now, husband and child. Why allow your parents to say anything? OP responds, if they did want something, I feel like my cousin would have told me or warned me that something was going on then. Yet there aren't any signs that they need anything, other than have a discussion with me apparently. DT Gender 1. They want access to your daughter. I'd be cautious. Lofi responds, I thought so too, but my husband said that if they wanted access to our daughter, they would have tried to reach out when she was born. Unless my brother is suddenly sterile, it's not likely they won't get more grandkids. Scuppersbluck. Girl, you just got past the most miserable babysitting years / the years where you're most exhausted and likely to need a break. It makes total sense for the self-absorbed grandparents to only reach out now that she's a precious 2-year-old. In their minds, now they can be fun grandparents instead of helpful ones. OP responds, reading this reminded me of what my mother used to say to me all the time. You were a difficult baby, always crying and whining and needy. Your brother was so easy and such an angel. Now I'm thinking you might be onto something. Like, maybe they didn't want to see my baby in her infancy because they thought she would just be like me, and God forbid they deal with that again. Update. 11 days later. Hey guys, a lot of you gave solid advice on my first post, and I really appreciate it. I did ask my friends for their own advice too, but they had more bust their kneecaps school of thought. Funny, but still not helpful at the time. Anyway, even though a lot of you warned me, I was just too curious to not talk to my family. Still, I told my cousin to tell them that I was not meeting them for Father's Day. I had always intended to reject the idea. I wanted to celebrate John and my father-in-law for being awesome, and that I wanted to do a Zoom meeting instead. I was expecting them to pitch a fit, but they agreed. Yesterday we met on Zoom. I made sure to have the meeting at my cousin's house because my house is my space, and I don't like intruders, whether in person or virtual. John was hiding in the room out of sight, and my daughter was with my cousin's wife. Long story short, my mother is a revolving door, and both my parents are idiots. To make it a longer story, my mother had an affair with my uncle Rick, male 60, my dad's older brother, and got caught after she found out she was pregnant. My dad forgave her and agreed to raise me as his. Oh, fuck. I see. My dad forgave her and agreed to raise me as his, as long as they never did a paternity test. Apparently, it was easier to act as my father if he didn't have confirmation that I was his brother's child. Spoiler alert, I'm not Rick's kid. Unfortunately for me, I have always been my dad's bio daughter. Rick apparently can't have kids, and my dad only found out on Mother's Day when Rick's wife made a joke about it. So, my parents just resented me all this time because they were convinced I was Rick's child, despite not having proof. It didn't help that I was just so mediocre compared to Adam, like how Rick is compared to my dad. What I mean by that is my dad works, has a fancy desk job in a titled position, and Rick is just your average truck driver. So clearly that must have meant I couldn't be my father's child. They begged me for forgiveness. My mom tried to blame my dad for not taking the test. My dad tried to blame it on my mom for being a truck stop for Rick. But they both wanted me to forgive them because they were sick with regret of how they treated me over a misunderstanding. They swore up and down that even if they weren't always there for me, they still loved me and were still my parents, and we can be a real family now. Now that the misunderstanding was finally cleared up. Even Adam was pushing hard for it. People asked about our relationship in my last post, but there's not really much to say. He was like a roommate. I was never bullied by him, and he didn't really interact with me, though he definitely reveled in our parents' favoritism. Still, they were all very sorry, but I had to understand why my parents acted like they did. Now everyone wants to make it up to me and be a part of my life again and be the best grandparents and uncle they can be to my daughter. I obviously told them no. Anyone with eyes could see they just wanted forgiveness to make themselves feel better. I told them that my life was better without them and I didn't need them anymore. They got mad at me and called me heartless and cruel and a bad daughter for being so unforgiving and for not being more understanding towards them because it was just a mistake. That I had a shitty childhood and had to play second fiddle to Adam. I just told them to forget I existed and ended the call. Then I burst into tears, and my husband had to comfort me. Their insults didn't hurt me. Even after all this time of no contact, I'm used to that. But all that time feeling like shit and suicidal and wondering what I did to deserve my mistreatment was just a waste. All because my parents were massive douche canoes with chicken nuggets for brains. I'm glad I didn't waste money to go see them. I'm also glad I heard them out for my own closure. They're trying to aggressively reach out and contact me, even getting other relatives to do so. I've already got a bunch of emails and texts this morning ranging from pleads to just hear them out and insults about being cruel and heartless. I've been ignoring them because I've washed my hands of my family and will continue to remain in no contact. So yeah, thank you all for the advice. It meant a lot. Comments. Prior Benefit 8453 comments. I'm so sorry you had to go through this. What a cluster. Off Kira comments. The audacity of basically saying, you are so mediocre, clearly there is no way we'd ever think you were biologically dads. So really it's your fault for having been so mid. You owe them forgiveness and understanding because you suck too much to be treated well by your parents. You know what? At least you got an answer. It's a moronic answer, but it's an answer. Now you know that your family remains shit. Good for them, they have each other. Stay on course. You have clearly nothing to gain from mending fences, except being called too average to be some fancy, successful asshole's kid. LOL. Melodramatic Mouse comments. I kind of wonder if they ever did a paternity test on the golden child. That would be interesting and I bet possibly somewhat surprising. I think that if anyone wants to get a hold of OP in the future, she should demand one as a stipulation. It would be hilarious if Adam ends up not being the dad's kid. Kira thankfully made quite a few of the points that I already wanted to make of just how ridiculous this whole scenario is. But one thing I do want to add is just the audacity to be like, hey, we thought that you were my affair partner's kid? Well, you're not, so congratulations. Can you forgive us for a lifetime of just neglect and abuse? What do you mean no? Don't you understand? I thought you were someone else's kid. That should make up for it, right? Originally posted to r/am I the asshole. Am I the asshole for rejecting my mom and refusing to forgive her and telling her she chose to be there for her affair partner's kids over her own, so she needs to deal with it now? I'm pretty frustrated right now, but I want to know if people think I'm being unfair. 2 years ago, my dad, my brother, 13 male, and I, 16 male, found out mom was having an affair. It shouldn't have surprised any of us. For over 2 years, she was always busy and let us down so many times. She was so involved before, but she stopped showing up and supporting me when I was competing in swimming, and she stopped asking about it. She flaked on me every time I wanted to do our record store browse, which we did since I was 5, and she never said no before. She dropped the cooking classes she did with my brother and didn't show up for his talent shows. He's a musician. I have asthma, and she stopped answering calls from the school nurse to pick me up. My dad had to leave work a bunch of times, and it pissed him off because mom was a stay-at-home mom, and I was one of her reasons. But she didn't even take that seriously. It turned out when she was busy doing stuff, it meant she was busy cheating or playing mom to the guy's 2 kids. She was bonding with them and filling in for the mom they didn't have. She put them before her own kids. Not just the guys she cheated with, but those kids too. The whole thing makes me so angry. When I found out, I thought she was disgusting for it. She didn't just cheat on dad, but she was picking the guy's kids over her own. She prioritized her affair and the children the affair partner had. Mom denied that she did it, and she told me and my brother she hadn't cheated on us. And she told us we shouldn't hate her or pull away from her when the adult business, meaning her marriage, wasn't our business. When my parents first started their divorce, we were ordered by a judge to stay with mom 50% of the time. I hated it. She tried to integrate us with the guy and his kids, but I made it clear I'd never accept them. Mom asked us to give them a chance, but she forced us all to hang out as if we were some kind of family, which is a fucking joke. By the time the divorce was over, the judge said I didn't need to see her that much, and I only needed to go 1 weekend a month. And as of last month, the judge said I still need to go once a month, and being 16 doesn't mean I get to stop going like I want. For the past year, my mom has started to realize how much I hate her now, and she tries to reach out and fix it. I reject her every time, and I have called her names and told her to stay away from me. I told her she's gross, and I want nothing to do with her. Her affair partner, who she's now married to, tried to berate me for talking to her like that, and I told him he's nothing to me. So why would I care about his opinion? He wants me and my brother to never go to the house because we make his kids feel bad by refusing to spend time with them and avoiding them. My mom tried to talk to me and she begged me to forgive her, and she told me she'd do anything. I told her it'll never happen. I said she chose another person's kids over us, and we remembered that. I told her she was with those random-ass children when I needed her. She left me in school with breathing issues so she could play mommy to another woman's kids. I told her she fucking destroyed our family, broke Dad's heart, and failed us as a mother when she was screwing around and she needed to accept her choices cost her us. Mom said she wanted to make it up, and I said unless she took it all back and didn't put those kids first, then she couldn't. She broke down and told me I wasn't being fair, and she was a good mother for a lot longer than she was a slightly absent one. The topic came up in therapy, and my therapist pushed me to forgive and reconcile with my mom. I don't really like her because she's really pushy about that stuff and has spent all the time we've been in these sessions telling me I only have one mom and to remember the good. Dad wanted me to change therapists, but Mom blocked it because she's hoping this lady will make me have a change of heart. But the therapist is really pressing it, and I know she's a professional, I just don't want this stuff she mentions about having a family and accepting Mom for who she is and all that crap. Am I the asshole? This might actually be one of the first times where I've seen a mother cheat on the entire family. Like, holy hell. So I sat and thought about this one for a little bit, and I wanted to think of a scenario where the cheating aspect was removed but the results would have been similar, i.e. the mother has an extremely depressive episode and just wasn't there for her kids for like just several months, maybe even a year. Would that kind of frustration be valid against the mother in that instance? And, the obvious answer is no, because the mother isn't making an active choice to have that depressive episode. And the results of her absence are still felt, but the reasoning is understandable, and if this story was specifically about that, I would be calling OP the asshole. But this isn't about that. This is about a mother who actively chose another family. I can't even imagine having a talent show or a swim meet or something along those lines where it's a massive event and your mother isn't there and you find out that she's spending that time with someone else's kids being their mother instead of actually being there for you. That is crushing in comparison to finding out your mother couldn't be there because she was having a massive depressive episode. And then on top of that, compounding it as to not just important events, but also health concerns and health issues. The mother neglected both her kids' emotional and physical needs to go play mother for her affair partner's kids. There is no coming back and apologizing for that. It's extremely disappointing too that the therapist is actively trying to pressure that. And I understand why on paper, but that is a lot of pain and hurt, and it's kind of unfair just to expect OP just to simply live and let be and forget about it. Because that's always going to be carried with him of, I wasn't good enough for my mom to give me full attention, so she found someone else's kids to give attention to. Even if that's not the case, that's probably a thought of OP's. So can you really blame him for having such negative and visceral emotions towards his own mother? I can't. I mean, you could argue in a perfect world he should apologize to his mother because it's the one mom he's got, but I can also argue in a perfect world she wouldn't have found someone else's kids to raise and abandon and neglect her own. So I can't fault OP in the slightest for not wanting to accept his mother back into his life. She made that choice. Originally posted to r/true off my chest. I fell in love with my neighbor and then I babysat his kids. Now I'm questioning my feelings. Posted February 7th, 2023. Okay, so first of all, I'm new to Reddit, so sorry if there are any mistakes or something. I obviously can't talk about this with any of my friends or my mom, but then I saw a Reddit post on TikTok, and I thought this would be a good place to talk about this. I'm also going to post this in a couple of different places based on what came up when I googled best Reddits to post on for advice. So, also sorry if this shows up multiple times. Finally, I know you all are going to judge me, but at least try to understand my side. Thanks. So, I'm a 34-year-old woman, and 7 months ago, I had a messy breakup with my long-term boyfriend, so I moved in with my best friend and her husband in a house we are all renting together. It was then that I met my neighbor, who I will call Kay. He helped us move our stuff into the house, and I was instantly smitten. We live in the suburbs of a major city, so we both end up taking the train into work at the same time each day. I knew Kay had a wife and kids very early on. He talked about them often in pictures of them on his lock screen, social media, etc. However, initially it started out as a very innocent, silly crush. He's handsome and funny and sweet, and the first time we rode the train, he asked me about my job and seemed genuinely interested in what I was saying, which is something my ex never did and is something we fought over a lot. He's always doing things for his kids, like bringing home treats and stuff for them and staying on the phone with his older daughter the entire ride to work because she needed a pep talk before a school presentation. It was just so easy to imagine how lovely and attentive Kay would be with me because he's like that with everyone else. Kay has never said or done anything to imply that he has feelings for me, yet. But we are genuinely friends by now because we talk on the train, which is about a 20-minute ride, almost every weekday. I've never had trouble getting the attention of men, and with the basis we already have, I know that we could easily become something more. I also learned shortly after I developed feelings for him that his wife is someone I went to school with, and I was surprised because they're polar opposites. He's funny, she's dry. He's exciting, she's cautious. He's a little dumb and she's smartly intelligent. Looks-wise, this feels mean, but yikes. I just don't think that their personalities fit very well together, and I can easily see Kay getting stuck in a relationship because he's just so nice. The issue is that yesterday evening, Kay knocked on my door and asked if I could watch his kids for a bit. This was of course no trouble, and I said yes right away. He told me that his wife had gotten into a car accident while away on a business trip, and because she's pregnant, he was super worried and had booked the flight out to go see her. They don't have any family in the state currently, so he asked me to keep an eye on them for a few hours while a family friend drove several hours to watch them at night. Now this is where the issue came in. These kids were an absolute nightmare. There were 3 girls. The oldest was your typical bratty preteen times 1,000. She was rude and didn't respect my authority at all, arguing with me about everything from dinner to who had to clean up to what movies she was allowed to watch. I even heard her call me a bitch under her breath a couple times. The middle was rowdy and constantly wanted to play loud, messy games, even when I told her no. The youngest was mostly sweet and quiet on her own, but she joined in with whatever drama the middle wanted to create. It culminated in me agreeing to play hide and seek with the younger 2 and ending up getting locked out of the house. When I went back and tried to convince the oldest to let me in through the back screen door, she pretended she couldn't hear me and put her headphones in. Thankfully, the family friend arrived a few minutes later and let me in, and then I went home. This makes me sad because before now, I would often dream about being a stepmom to Kay's kids one day because of how highly he would talk about them. Now I want nothing to do with them. But at the same time, this is further proof that Kay and his wife are not happy because children from a happy home do not behave like this. I just want to have a relationship with Kay, but I do not know if it's possible because his kids and I would not get along, and this is even before a potential divorce where their mother could easily get them to hate me. I really love Kay, and I know that we could just have a beautiful relationship if I pursued this, but this has really shaken me. I just wish I had someone to talk to about this, but everyone in my life would judge me. Notable comment exchange. Honestly, it doesn't sound like you love him, you just romanticize him and have this fantasy life in your head. In your head, you act like he would drop his wife and run away with you. You justify this belief by saying his children are wild, so it must be an unhappy home. Meanwhile, you completely ignore the fact that his wife is pregnant, and he dropped everything to go to her. You say the kids do not respect your authority. It sounds like they barely know you, and suddenly you're in charge. You're not their mother, and will never be their mother. You think you'll have a beautiful relationship with Kay if you pursued him? No, you wouldn't. He has a family that he clearly loves. Just because he's nice to you doesn't mean he wants you. I encourage you to discuss things with a professional because this isn't healthy. OP responds, how do you know whether or not I love him? Are you inside my head? You can love someone before being in a relationship with them. And just like I don't know for sure that he loves me, you don't know that he doesn't. You never know until you cross that bridge. I know he wouldn't just drop everything and run away with me. There would be months and even years of divorce court, custody arrangements, etc. If he decided to leave his wife, and before the comments come in, yes, I know there's no guarantee that he will do that, but Kay is a good, honest man. If anything were to happen between us, he would absolutely leave his wife because it wouldn't be fair to either of us. And he told me he believes very strongly in fairness. That's why I'm asking. I know this could be a messy situation if anything happened. I just want to know if his kid's being difficult would make things worse if it does happen. I want to know if the potential pros outweigh the potential cons. Update 2. I fell in love with my neighbor and then I babysat his kids. It's a screenshot. Transcript of the screenshot goes as follows. KEYZ, blank and the girls are okay. Thank you for watching the girls. OP responds, of course, anytime. Let me know if there's anything else I can do. K, thumbs up emoji. K later responds with the Reddit post link. Is this you? Because if it is, we need to talk. I promise you that I have absolutely no interest in leaving my family for you. I'm sorry if I ever gave you the wrong idea, but I don't see you as anything more than a neighbor. I don't think we should be friends anymore. OP, wait, can I call you? And that's all we have for the update. So, in my opinion, and this is kind of my tinfoil hat theory here, OP was more attached to the fantasy of living with K and not necessarily K as a person. Yes, K does have some very nice redeeming qualities, but she had built this entire world in fantasy within her head of this life that she wanted to live with K. And she had gotten so attached to that fantasy, it became almost a guarantee in her mind that this will happen. She had convinced herself that K isn't happy in this relationship, and that it's almost destined to eventually fall apart, and she'll swoop in and they'll live a happy life, and she'll become a stepmom. In fact, she believed this was such a guarantee, or at least had a strong possibility of happening, that she wasn't asking Reddit whether or not she has a chance with K, but asking Reddit, should I let the kid's behavior deter me from pursuing K? Also, it's not very often that we get to see the aftermath of OP getting busted for their post and, actually caught by the person they're talking about and confronted about it. I really wish I could have seen more or even heard the phone call, but we're only privy to so much information, and the fact there wasn't like a big text block attached to it, my guess would be that phone call was pretty fucking embarrassing, and OP realized that a lot of the Reddit comments were right, and not wanting to get flamed by then, just decided to leave it as the screenshot and not give any more updates attached to this. And again, I'm not saying this is what happened, this is my theory as to what happened, because sometimes people think that I'm stating fact, but I'm just giving out my theories and explanations. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Pear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code ODDS at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.